Hello and good afternoon, everybody. It's Wednesday, the 4th of December, 3 o'clock. And this is the decision session for the executive member for housing planning and safer communities. First, I'll ask, are there any declarations of interest? No, that's great. Secondly, we need to sign the minutes of the meeting of the 13th of November, which is an accurate representation of the meeting. So I'm happy to sign that at the end of the meeting. Thirdly, we have public participation, and we have two members of the public. We have Steve Secker, who's joining us via Zoom to speak on agenda item 4, which is the planning protocol. And we also have Eamon Keogh, both of the York Chamber of Commerce Property Forum. So our first speaker is Steve Secker. He's joining us via Zoom. Is he there? That's fantastic. If you want to plug him in. Steve, can you hear us?
I can indeed. Can you hear me okay?
Perfectly. Thank you so much. Well, it's good to hear from you, Steve. You've got 3 minutes. We'll start when you do. Do you want me to give you a nudge when it's 30 seconds to go?
Thank you very much. Hopefully I won't take the full 3 minutes, but yes, good to have a reminder.
Good. Yeah, whenever you're ready.
Okay. Yeah. So thank you very much for the opportunity to speak this afternoon. Steve Secker. I chair the Property and Economic Forum, which is part of the York and North Yorkshire Chamber of Commerce, and we represent businesses working across the property sector, including housing association, house builders, SMEs, professionals, and property developers. The whole segment, as it were. And I think, but it's probably appropriate to recognise the complexity of planning and the pressures that local authorities and others are under with resources. So it can be quite time-consuming, expensive, and frustrating for those seeking to achieve a planning consent, and perhaps therefore somewhat an easy football to be critical of local authorities. But we at the Chamber of Commerce want to be proactive and play our part in being part of the solution. So I've been delighted that over the last year we've been working collaboratively with the local authority on the planning protocol, which we're presenting today. Because planning ultimately is very much about what developers do and their professional team, as much as it is the local authority team. So how can we work better together, respecting the democratic rights of the local authority, of course, and all the legislative frameworks within which we've all got to work. So, as I say, we've been working closely with Becky Eads and others at the council planning team to using a planning protocol precedent document that the Chamber has worked on elsewhere, and then adapting it and making sure that was relevant for York and could work in the context of an authority like York, particularly with all the heritage issues that we face. So I think worth being clear that it doesn't look to change policies. It doesn't impact on things like the local plan, the draft local plan. But what it does seek to do is codify some of the best practice principles of how we can work together. And as the strapline up towards the front of the document says, ultimately it's about delivering inclusive growth for the city so that all can benefit, and we can look forward to more homes, more jobs, better infrastructure, respecting the heritage and enhancing the environment of our beautiful city. So I very much commend the protocol and the council's proactive work on this, and look forward to us successfully launching this with the rest of the development sector in 2025. That's me finished. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Stephen. Thank you for all the work that you, on behalf of the Chamber and Becky and the planners, have put into this. thank you. You can continue to listen if you like, but it will be on YouTube if you want to catch up with it later. Our second speaker is Eamon Keogh. If you want to come to the table, Eamon. Eamon many times has appeared before planning committees, so I think he knows the system by now. Eamon, do you want to introduce yourself? And you have 3 minutes.
Thanks, Chair. I'm Eamon Keogh. I'm work with Steve on the Chamber of Commerce Property Forum. I'm also a member of the Chamber of Commerce Leadership Group, as well as my day job as a planning consultant in this city. I don't have much to add to Steve. I think Steve's covered all the key points. I think one additional point we could make is that we should see this as a live document. The danger with documents like this is that we spend a lot of time agreeing them and then they're put on the shelf and they're not followed up. And I think we need to keep an eye on that, because clearly the pressures on both the council and the pressures on the development industry are changing, both in terms of for example, the resources that are available to both developers and local authorities. And I think it's so the draft needs to be regular. You know, we should have a review maybe every year, dust it down and have a look and see is it still doing what it's supposed to do, because circumstances change. And clearly, with the government's agenda for the national government's agenda for economic growth, and this council's agenda for economic growth, but also for increased housing delivery, then really understanding the constraints that each group is under is important. I think it's important that we, again, we've been quite open about this during the discussions, agreeing, you know, understanding where we have agreements, but understanding also where there are differences and why there are those differences. So again, that's all I really have to add, Steve. I think Steve covered all the other major points. That it's for a long time we didn't have this protocol, and for times there were lulls in engagement between the council and the chamber, and I think that's when difference of opinion widen. So, as I say, continuing dialogue. We're not going to agree on everything all the time, but that's the nature of the beast we deal with. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for those comments. And I certainly couldn't agree with you more that this has got to be a live document. That this has got to be something that we continue to keep looking at. And obviously Becky will cover that when she does her introduction to the actual paper. So by all means, please stay for the rest of the meeting. It's all interesting. It's all good fun. So we now move to officer introduction for this. We've got Becky Eads. If you want to introduce yourself, Becky, and then introduce the report.
Thank you. So I'm Becky Eads, Head of Planning and Development Services. I was going to say how we'd got to the protocol, but I think the two speakers have covered how we've got there. But I think it is important to go through the parts of the protocol, and specifically the aim, which is to work successfully together to deliver inclusive growth within the City of York Council area through the planning process. And that is key to me in terms of we're building on existing good practices, we're engaging with communities and front loading the planning process and aiming for a more proactive approach in delivering good growth and helping to create jobs and attract good investment. So the three sections within the protocol, which is a commitment to service improvement, effective communication and engagement, and certainty and consistency. The commitment to service improvement is obviously the service is committing to continuously grow and improve. We acknowledge that engagement is something that already happens positively, but it's a commitment to continue with this going forward. It looks at training for elected members along with members of staff, and it commits us to that. It looks at a commitment from the development community, which is very important from us, that they respect the professional opinion of officers. It also outlines the one opportunity process, which again is a key change, which has been introduced fairly recently, where it looks at the planning application when it's submitted, if there is the opportunity to be able to change it, that we will give one opportunity to be able to change that, and we will give clear guidance to developers of how we expect the application to come forward. It's ensuring that we give clear guidance, but also that we don't get bogged down in protracted discussions, which are slowing down. And we acknowledge that they are slowing down the planning process. So it's to make sure that this one opportunity process is embedded in how both we work and the development community. So that's that one. In terms of effective communication and engagement, this puts emphasis on pre-application. We all know that that's a way of streamlining the planning process, but it's to encourage that from developers, and also to look at the use of planning performance agreements for larger sites where that's appropriate. And communication and engagement is expected to be a two-way process. Again, we can't do it on our own, and likewise, so it's a clear steer that we expect that to be a two-way process. And it also expects early engagement with communities and stakeholders by the developers, and that's something that the Chamber have agreed to. Certainty and consistency. Again, we all know it can be the planning process can be unpredictable and lengthy, and what we're trying to do through this is trying to make that as streamlined as possible, and that we get the permissions that we need in place as soon as possible. It also looks at section 106s and how we need to make that process as streamlined as possible. And it also, right at the end, it concludes that there will be a commitment to monitoring and reviewing the implementation and effectiveness of the protocol, which covers what Eamon said previously. But in terms of the recommendation, we're asking you to agree the principle of the protocol and delegate authority to finalise and implement the protocol to myself, please. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Becky. Thank you, speakers. As the Chamber will know, and as you will know, this is something that I, as someone who's sat on planning committees ever since I was first elected, have always had a great interest in and a commitment to seeing the process improve. And when the Chamber came to us, myself, you, the leader, to talk about how could we improve the planning process, which, as we know, is a complicated one. Large applications have many moving parts to them. It's not just about the housing, it's about the drainage, it's about the ecology, it's about the landscaping, it's about the roads, it's about the infrastructure that fits in with it. And you know, we've been involved in a protracted local plan process where many of these issues have had to be thrashed out. So the opportunity to bring forward the first planning protocol between ourselves and the development community, I think is something that that I certainly welcome, and I think that has been welcomed broadly across the piece, both within the council and outside. So I'm more than happy to do that. I think we need to embed the review process. I think we need to meet again. We are meeting again with the development community in February and with the Chamber for another roundtable event. And then I think we do need to review, because there are going to be some very different elements that we're going to be expecting from developers, and the one opportunity, the one system is something that is going to, if it's applied and if it works well, it will streamline the planning process, which is not just a local commitment, but a national government commitment as well, that we need to streamline the process. So, so I look forward to seeing this evolve and develop, and the proof of the pudding will be in the eating, as with all things. But more than happy to approve this, and thank you for all the work that you've put into it. And I know you and the LPA, the local planning authority, have put an amazing amount of work into this, alongside the chamber and the development community. So I commend you all, and I look forward to having regular updates and regular meetings. Thank you. So the second agenda item that we have is the proposed consultation on a draft validation checklist. And we have two members here, very pleased to have you. We've got Alison Stockdale, if you can introduce yourself, and we have Alison Cook. So when I say Alison, you're going to have to fight it out as to who answers. So Alison, I think, Alison Stockdale, I think you're introducing this document.
I am, yes. So Alison Stockdale, I'm the Strategic Planning Policy Manager. So the paper today is introducing the draft validation list. So the validation list is a list of the local requirements which is required for submission with planning applications, the local requirements arising from national and local policy. These must be reasonable with regard to the nature and scale of the proposed development. So it's a list that's been developed on best practice examples. We've already undergone some internal consultation with colleagues and worked with DM to ensure that this is a positive tool. Yes, development management, because it is primarily a tool that they use for validating applications. In terms of the benefits of having this in place, because currently we don't have an up-to-date validation list, so it gives clarity of the expectations for people submitting planning applications. Hopefully results in better quality applications because we're very clear about what we're expecting with them, and hence potential efficiency savings in saving time with validation, better quality applications and timely decision making. The risks, well, as outlined in the report, we should have an up-to-date validation list, which we need to review every 2 years to keep it up to date. So we do risk developers refusing to submit these local requirements if we don't have the list up to date. So I think so I'll probably just
Just want to cover
what's in it,
some of the areas,
Oh.
but not in detail, just the type of topic areas.
do that.
So in the annex,
Yes, so it's an annex
so
D.
we've got
So yeah,
elevations, roof
Yeah,
plans.
I can run you through it
yeah.
quickly. So we do start with a section on the national validation requirements. So these are set nationally in legislation. So we run through those, some indications where further guidance can be found for those. Then we go on to the local requirements, and it arises out of the policies in the local plan.
Yes.
So it covers anything that is covered by a policy in the local plan and some other matters in national policy. They will generally be things that people are used to submitting with applications. It isn't overly onerous or new, but it does ensure that we can ask for those. And it gives evidence of where further guidance is, links to where we're expecting to have SPDs in the future.
Just want to explain what an SPD
SPD,
is.
supplementary planning
We
document.
tried to cut out acronyms if we
sorry,
possibly
yeah.
can. Yes.
So yes, so links to where we'll have supplementary planning documents in the future. And again, so it's something that we have to take out to public consultation to give it its full weight in its use. So we intend to do that. Obviously, pick up anything we think maybe we can tweak and improve on. So then the recommendation, I think we've just issued a revision to
So
the report.
there's an amendment, so
Yeah.
just to explain to anybody who's watching, is that the originally published recommendation had the incorrect delegation. It had the
Yes.
delegation to transport and planning, but it actually should have gone to,
City development, yes.
Yes.
So the revised report has that.
yes.
So yes, so I think the recommendations are quite complex because we're still waiting to hear exactly what the local plan policies are. So we're trying to build in that flexibility that when we have confirmation of the exact wording of the local plan policies, we can tweak if needed the validation requirements before we go out to consultation. And then, like I've said, after consultation, we also have that capacity to make these tweaks before it's issued and used formally.
Thank you.
Okay.
Alison Cook, do you want to add anything?
Just to add around, just in terms of the actual validation list itself, we've done it by theme. So as Alison said, it is done by taking into consideration the target audience, looking at those policies. So it's an alphabetical order of those sorts of themes. So I just wanted to build upon that to make sure people understood it wasn't necessarily by policy, but the policy link is in there once you get into that theme as well. Just also to confirm that what we're asking in terms of recommendation today from yourself is to agree that we could go out for consultation in accordance with the draft statement of community involvement, which sets out how we work with the community in consultation terms on the draft validation list. And then, as I said, there's delegations in there following to the Director for City Development to pick up any changes and the publication of that validation list.
So that's just what I wanted to ask you about. So the consultation will go out to whom and for how long? And what is the stage after the consultation has been completed?
Well, so the SCI requires, the statement of community involvement requires that we formulate a consultation strategy, which we then get agreed by the Director of City Development. But it will be a citywide consultation.
So citywide, it's
Yeah,
not
so
just
it's
not just to
targeted,
developers
no.
or no.
No, citywide.
Yeah.
So that's it. And then, yeah, we've got the responses and we would assess those.
And we'll publish that on the council's website of consultations.
Yes.
Yeah. Alison?
Just in terms of that, as part of that consultation strategy, there's the ability for us to have targeted groups. So it may be that we come and present to the chamber in terms of having that conversation at round table to make sure we've got some targeted feedback and dialogue for those industry developers that obviously deal with us frequently. But yeah, as you said, it will be on the website and we can set that out in a confirmed consultation statement.
And how long do you envisage, or is that part of the work that's will be undertaken to work out who you're going to, how you're going to them, and for how long? But normally it's about 6 to 8 weeks, is it?
So yeah, usually our statutory consultations are 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
Minimum of 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So we have the ability to set that as a minimum.
Yeah, I think it would absolutely make sense to do some targeted consultation as well to the sector, because obviously these are going to be aimed at the larger developer and the larger development, but it dovetails very nicely into the protocol, which is why they've both come today, because I think that they complement each other. And what's the theme? Well, the theme is we're trying to get a process by which we can all work and which we can all understand. And by I say we, I mean the planning authority, strategic planning, development community, public, that this is what we are trying to deliver for the city, and planning may be seen on as a relatively dry subject. I don't think it's a dry subject. I think it's incredibly entertaining, and but it's absolutely vital because we've all wandered around the city, not just York, but anywhere we go, and thought, oh, I like that building. Oh, I don't like that building. Oh, I don't like this development. This development's fantastic. It's to try to get some framework of around what is good, and these protocols are how we're going to be able to deliver something for the benefit of York for the next 100 years. So, so yeah, more than happy to approve this. Is there going to be? Is this going to come back to me once the consultation has been completed?
Excuse me. I don't think that was in the
That's the
recommendation.
that's the delegated
Delegation.
element. So once it's
Yes.
been consulted on, it then is adopted as an officer decision, which
Yes.
makes absolute sense.
Yes, I think subject to being no huge changes required.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Right. Happy. And it's now 26 minutes past 3. There's no urgent business. Therefore, I call this meeting to a close. And thank you very much for your time, everybody.